Hello and welcome to Our Experts Podcast. I am Carol Matichka, your host, bringing you fascinating perspectives from the world and realm of pharmacy. Well, today we have with us a very special guest. We have Kendrick Panoch, who's here on an academic rotation with us at the University of Florida College of Pharmacy. He is a fourth-year student, so he's going to be talking today about some aspects of being a pharmacy student, what he sees the future of pharmacy as. He's been extremely involved in professional organizations, so I'm looking forward to that part. And really just being a voice, I think, for students, because we don't have students on here enough. So welcome, Kendrick.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So can you talk to the audience a little bit about your journey? How did you decide on pharmacy and how did you end up where you are now?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I didn't have any exposure to pharmacy other than my local community pharmacy growing up. I don't have anyone in my family, in my immediate family that works in healthcare. The closest thing is my dad, who's a funeral director.
Oh,
but that's
okay.
more after the fact.
Right.
So then in undergrad, I was pre-med, a chemistry major, getting all those health science classes in. Being a chemistry major and taking all those classes and thinking about what my role in healthcare wants to be, the more I liked focusing on the medication aspect, the more really honing in on how substances are interacting with the body. So taking a look at the careers I could be in, a pharmacist kind of checked all those boxes where I could combine my strengths, passion, and interests.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you've got some very interesting post-graduation plans that you would like to fulfill.
Yes.
So share that.
This coming application cycle, I'll be applying for a PGY1 residency and then a PGY2 in informatics.
Yes.
So I hope to be an informatics pharmacist and work in that technological space of pharmacy.
And informatics is a relatively new, I think, space, certainly. And with AI and everything we see coming, can you maybe share what informatics is? I think some of our listeners may not even be aware that that's an option for pharmacists.
Absolutely. So informatics is this big umbrella term where no two informatics roles look the same. So a common role in informatics pharmacy is having the electronic health record system support, whether you're making order sets, taking a look at prescribing data, even including a med safety aspect to it. Really no two roles look the same.
I think that's great. And I think that is such a unique and interesting role for those who are interested in that side of really looking at computers and computer software, but also utilizing all of your skills. It's a great mesh, I think, for a lot of individuals. And we really need informatics. And you can see as we're projecting forward with AI and all of the development, everything that's out there, we're going to see a lot more need. So I think that's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit now about being in pharmacy school and how do you survive pharmacy school, I guess, in many ways. So can you talk about some of the pitfalls pharmacy students may find themselves in and how they can maybe avoid some of those?
Absolutely. I think the biggest adjustment going from undergrad to graduate school is the amount of time you have to allocate to studying. So really creating that time, even more time than you think you may need, because if you finish early, that's a great thing. But then if you need more time and you haven't made enough, that's a pitfall you can run into.
Sure. Time management is huge.
Yes. Time management is a big aspect of it. And I know we talk about time management and you have to have good time management skills. But a few things that go into time management is allotting enough time to get everything you need to get done, creating lists of priorities, make sure you're getting those things that have the most soon due dates done first, but also being aware of those bigger projects that you need to get done and maybe work on a little bit every day. And then creating a calendar, whether it's on Google Calendar, Outlook, or even a paper calendar to keep track of meetings and responsibilities as they may pile up during pharmacy school.
Yeah. And I know when I was in pharmacy school, I had to work, which I think a lot of pharmacy students do. How do you prioritize work? How do you figure that out in all of your scheduling?
Yes, I've had a few jobs throughout pharmacy school. I initially started with just summer internships
Hmm.
because I was afraid of um, adding work on top of that pharmacy school. Um, I've definitely made the mistake of working 17 hours a week a few weeks, and that wasn't working for me. So I scaled back to one hospital shift at 8.5 hours a week every week. And that was a happy medium for me. So it may take a bit of um, adjustment to see what time works best for you. I know intern roles can look different at different places, and then hopefully you have a job where offers you that flexibility where you can reduce those hours during, maybe an exam week, and then be able to increase those hours during the break. But definitely always keeping in mind that you're in pharmacy school and you definitely want to prioritize school first.
Yes, because it feels like it's really long, 4
Hmm.
years, and then it flies by. And you're like, I really maybe wish I had dedicated a little bit more time here or there. So making sure that that's a priority is absolutely huge. Um, One of the other things you had mentioned to me before was how important it is to stay connected. How important is that, and how do you manage that? Because there's so much out there in regards to social media and everything else.
Absolutely. So I think as a student pharmacist, most immediate advantage you have to staying connected to your peers is having that support and staying connected and plugged into the due dates that may be coming up, other tips and tricks you can pick up from that kind of student network you build. And then on the next level, being involved in local pharmacy organizations. And this I can really learn what pharmacy looks like outside of pharmacy school and some of those hot topics in pharmacy and what pharmacists are talking about. I found this really helpful understanding what's going on the legislative level,
Mhm.
not having any experience in that before and not knowing where I could even get that information of, because that's such a hot topic in local pharmacy organizations. I'm able to learn and gain a lot of insight on that. And then on social media, I followed a few pharmacy pages to get more of an idea of how pharmacy is on that larger level, maybe even further outside of the community. So I kind of have these insights from different places
Yeah.
and just become a more well-rounded, a better informed student pharmacist and carry that over into my career as a pharmacist.
I think that's fantastic. And you've been extremely involved in professional organizations and with the profession. Why did you do that? Why was that important to you? I know we talked about the legislative issues, but was there anything else that really
Yeah,
made you feel
absolutely. Having no background in pharmacy, I was very curious
Mhm.
about what pharmacy is beyond just community pharmacy, because I know pharmacists work in community pharmacy. I know they were in hospitals. I know they kind of worked maybe for a drug company, didn't know what that entailed. So I think it was my curiosity that
Yeah.
really drove me to get involved. And I get so much, you get out of it what you put in. And I found that the returns on being involved in school organizations and pharmacy organizations have been tremendous and very helpful in
Yeah, that's great.
understanding the field.
I completely agree. And now more than ever, I think it is so unbelievably important that we stay involved. We've seen just recently, in recent weeks, the closing of multiple
Mm.
pharmacies. A lot of them we're struggling with PBMs. We have been for quite a while. It's really hard to be able to make ends meet in a pharmacy today with the amount of money that's being reimbursed on prescriptions. And really, we need to get payment for our services. We've been saying this before on this podcast, but I can't emphasize it enough. We have a couple of national bills that are out there that hopefully get pushed along and will really help us. I think people see how important we are and what we do for the community and for patients. It's just a matter of us continuing that
Mhm.
momentum, more important than absolutely ever. So Just want to throw that out there. Um, so are there any other pearls maybe you can share? Anything, any maybe software that you've discovered during your time as a student that has helped you, or any tools that you've used?
Yes, I've tried a few different online calendars. I always go back to the paper calendar, but and then I used to try having physical sticky notes, but then I would have 20 on my computer. So I've used Microsoft To Do. It's kind of this running
Okay.
to-do list. You can create different categories so that things that need to get done today, you can flag them and help organize it. Really tapping into whichever your institution prefers. So I know here at the University of Florida, we have that Microsoft suite. So leveraging Teams, Outlook, Outlook Calendar, making those meetings and taking advantage of the resources offered to you.
Yeah, and I think that's something pharmacists can use too, for sure. Microsoft To Do is a great option for people to kind of help keep us organized. It's amazing how much more I feel like students have to do now than when I was in pharmacy school. I will tell you, it's constant. Your schedules are full.
Yes.
So I'm always extremely impressed at what pharmacy students can do. It's very different. And speaking of that, looking at pharmacy and kind of how has it changed pharmacy school, do you think, from years ago to now? And how do you see us teaching in the future?
Yeah, I definitely think as time has gone on, there's been more integration of technology. I know now we have that flipped classroom model, so we get to watch these videos now with Play Pause It. It's a video that professors can integrate practice questions into, and you have an even more interactive experience.
Really
So,
reflect on the material.
yes, yeah. So I think as we move more towards that active learning component into it, and then it's hard to anticipate in what ways technology may be more integrated, but there's definitely going to be more technology. I don't think there will be necessarily less.
For sure. And so let's think about AI for a moment. How do you or your classmates use AI currently that you're aware of?
So I know there's been recent tools, like even Google AI software that you can upload a lecture and it'll create a podcast for you. Quizlet,
That's fantastic.
it's amazing. And Quizlet has an option where you can upload a lecture and it'll make flashcards for you. So I think creating those study tools, maybe help summarizing information that professors provide,
Yeah.
can be a valuable study tool. Personally, I don't think it beats hearing the information from the professor themselves that they provide in their videos. So that's where I start, and I always recommend students starting, is the information you get from the professor, and then maybe using other things as supplemental to that.
I love those Quizlet ideas. I can remember as a pharmacy student ordering these things, and they'd be like $50 for like a whole bunch of, and they were actual physical cards, we'd get those cards. So it's amazing how far things have come. So where do you see pharmacy in 10 years? So we talk about AI and how that can really be a big disruptor, but we can also use it to our advantage. So you as a student, we want to prepare you for what's going to be happening in 10 years. So where do you see pharmacy?
As automation increases, I definitely see pharmacists moving towards role where they can use that clinical reasoning and judgment to increase patient care outcomes. And I still think when I talk with people in other health professions or even a layperson, I think they don't realize how much pharmacists know and how
Right.
deep our training goes, not only to pharmacology, but also using guidelines and resources to create treatment plans and optimize patient care and prevent a lot of adverse drug events.
Sure.
So I think as people realize how valuable a PharmD is to the healthcare team, will be implemented in a lot other aspects of patient care as well.
Right. And it goes beyond the information, right? We're trying to teach you as many soft skills as possible. And so what are your thoughts on that? And do you see maybe pharmacy education and pharmacists really utilizing those soft skills more than anything else into the future with these tools.
Definitely. When I came into pharmacy school, I thought the effectiveness of a team was just measured in their productivity and how well they get done. And after being in pharmacy school and being exposed to leadership styles and what it means to be a leader and a good team player, I realized that teams that work well together, first and foremost, are the ones that have the great outcomes, produce great work, and can be even more productive than the teams that just focus on getting things done and not necessarily working well together. I know for UF, there's a big focus on teamwork and building that rapport and just being a team player and leadership, whether it's that big L leader that we call that have those titles or just a little L leader where you can be proactive in your role. And that's translated to it's had immediate effect for me within pharmacy school when I've participated in state competitions from UF, when I've participated in state competitions with students from UF from other campuses that I've never worked on a team before. And we've able to blow the competition out of the water several times from spending so much time building those soft skills.
I completely agree. And we often think of the patient as a team member as well. And so hopefully all those team skills will be brought into your care of patients, because if we can make patients feel like they're part of our team and are really integral part of their own health care, that is what's so important to help them to understand why they're taking their medications and how to take it correctly, and really feeling like they've got control on that aspect. So couldn't agree with you more. And I think this is where we're going to see a lot of pharmacy moving, is really developing those soft skills even greater, to a greater degree, and then utilizing the tools and technology that we have to be able to bring that patient into the team. So, all right, well, is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we go?
I think as a student pharmacist, kind of honing in on that point of leveraging the resources that are available to you, whether it's study materials, office hours, talking to a close faculty member or faculty advisor, tapping into that network. Even universities will have things like mental health services. So you're never alone in this process, and you don't always know what's available to you until you ask for help. And you may be met with a lot of support and resources you may not even have realized are available to you.
That is such a great point. I run into students all the time who have various issues and have concerns, but they don't realize what's out there. And maybe we don't always do the best job on letting students know, but sometimes there's a lot out there, and it's kind of hard to get that to them as well. But staying in touch, looking up resources that are available, speaking to faculty members, speaking to administration, I think all of that is huge in regards to making sure that you know what's available out there and you can be helped. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Well, this has been a real pleasure having you on. It's been a pleasure having you as our academic student. We really do wish you all the best. I know you're going to make an excellent pharmacist, so thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words, and thank you again for having me today.
Absolutely. So thank you to our audience for taking the time to join us today. Make sure that you support the show, subscribe to our podcast or the YouTube channel, and thanks for listening.